1 year after running for Midland mayor, the FBI arrests Jenny Cudd for her role in storming the U.S. Capitol.
We had to scale a wall to get there. There were people that were starting to climb the scaffolding, and we just pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and yelled go and yelled charge and on and on and on.
Days later, telling a different story to News West 9.
Like I've already said, I was not part of that. I was on my way walking to the Capitol with millions of other people.
Tonight, we're breaking it all down for you. News West 9 at 6 starts right now.
Elio, how do you feel about the FBI arresting you? Do you regret any of your actions at the Capitol, Jenny? Are you going to be worried about Becky's flowers in the future? Becky's
today, Jenny Cudd left the federal courthouse in Midland after being charged in the Capitol riots. Her videos bragging about it went viral. Today, she was in front of the camera again, making her first court appearance. That's our top story tonight. Good evening, everyone. I'm Crystal Cruz. Tonight, we know that Cudd was not the only person from our area arrested by the FBI. So was a Midland man named Eliel Rosa. This is a picture taken by Samuel Loeb, a Capitol photographer who works with the news agency AFP. He captured this photo of Trump supporters inside the Capitol building. It clearly shows Jenny Cudd holding up her cell phone. And right behind her, it appears to be Eliel Rosa in the red cap. We'll have more on Rosa in just a minute. But first, tonight we bring you team coverage. Sammy Still spent the day in Cudd's Midland neighborhood where neighbors say they saw this coming. And Jonathan Polasic is outside the federal courthouse in Midland where Cudd made an appearance just a few hours ago. Jonathan.
Good evening, Crystal. Both Jenny Cudd and Eliel Rosa both charged with 2 misdemeanors today after a pretty short hearing lasting only about 20 minutes today. Now, Cudd and Rosa stood before the judge listening to their charges and the potential penalties that they could be facing if convicted. Now, here's a look at what both Cudd and Rosa are facing for their participation in the storming of the Capitol building on January 6th. Again, it's 2 misdemeanors, a Class A and a Class B. The Class A misdemeanor is for unlawfully entering a restricted building. Cudd and Rosa could be facing up to a year in jail and a fine not to exceed $100,000. The second charge is the Class B misdemeanor, which is for violent entry and disorderly conduct in a restricted building. Cudd and Rosa are looking at up to 6 months of jail and a fine not to exceed $5,000. Now, both Cudd and Rosa were released today on a PR bond under standard conditions, but they will have to visit pretrial services. Both individuals also have a second hearing with a Washington, D.C. magistrate judge since the events took place over in D.C. That hearing will take place on January 21st, and it will be a virtual hearing where both Cudd and Rosa will learn more about the penalties that they could face. Now, both Cudd and Rosa declined to comment when pressed for questions on this initial hearing. We'll have an update for you coming up at 10. Reporting live at Midland, Jonathan Polasic, News West 9.
Jonathan, well, these arrests are definitely the talk of the town. News West 9 Sammy Still caught up with some of Jenny Cudd's neighbors to find out how they feel about her arrest. She joins us live from Cudd's Flower Shop in Midland. Sammy, neighbors told you they're not surprised.
Crystal, Jenny is very well known in the community, and that's thanks to her Midland mayoral run back in 2019. She's also very known for her political views, including her stance on masks and wearing them in businesses. Now, her neighbors, they tell me they are not surprised that the FBI has arrested her following her actions at the Capitol last Wednesday. Neighbor after neighbor telling me Jenny Cudd, well, she usually keeps to herself. As for her social media presence and her thoughts on President Trump, well, that's another story.
So when they put out the call to show up in Washington, D.C. and support the president, then we're going to do that.
Neighbors wouldn't go on camera, but they did tell me they are not surprised about the FBI arresting her after boasting about the riots at the Capitol on her social media.
Vandalize anything, but we did. We did, as I say that, we did break down the Nancy Pelosi's office door.
And now she is paying the price. Do you regret any of your actions at the Capitol, Jenny? But Cud isn't the only one paying the price here.
Are you going to be worried about Becky's Flowers and the future of Becky's Flowers because of your political actions?
So is her business. The Knot making it clear they do not stand with Cud's actions and removing Becky's Flowers as a vendor. You know, and Midland mayoral candidate, or Midland Mayor Patrick Payton, he's also put out a statement on how he feels about this whole thing, telling us, quote, as to the event surrounding Jenny Cud, this is a federal matter, and it has been since all the events unfollowed last week in D.C. The mayor will reserve any further comment for much later and would encourage us all to reserve any further speculation or judgment on these matters until more is known and the federal authorities progress in their work on this matter. Now, I also spoke with Jenny Cud's boyfriend, who is actually here at the flower shop today, kind of just standing guard. Of course, he would not comment on this situation. We are just looking for anyone that is close with Jenny to, give us her point of view. Now, Jenny does tell us she will be sharing her thoughts on this entire investigation on social media. As to what specific account that will be, we don't know. Reporting live in Midland, I'm Sammy Steele. Back to you, Crystal.
Well, as you heard earlier today, we stopped by Cud's business, Becky's Flowers in Midland. The store is still open and it's operating as normal. We spoke with Cud's boyfriend and several employees there, but again, they tell us they did not want to comment on her arrest. Well, you may recognize Eliel Rosa. He most recently rallied in support of China Aid founder Bob Fu. This is video of him from October during an interview with News West 9. He was at a rally and church service in Bob Fu's front yard in Midland. You'll recall protesters had been in front of Fu's house for weeks claiming he was a Chinese communist spy. Rosa is an immigrant from Brazil who came to the U.S. seeking asylum. He is also the founder of Nehemiah School of Government, which is based in religion. Rosa was also part of Jamie Berryhill's campaign team when Berryhill ran on the Republican ticket for Congressman Mike Conaway's office. This is a YouTube video of Rosa being interviewed with Bob Fu by Berryhill on Berryhill's Mission Messiah show, which is Christian based. The FBI is increasing their push against human trafficking, those numbers going up for the past 8 years. Today, they briefed us on their mission while offering some tips and advice to help you recognize potential cases. Dana Morris joins us now with the latest.
Well, Crystal, the FBI says there's been an increase in their human trafficking investigations every year since 2013. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean there's been more or less human trafficking incidents, but it does suggest to agents that they're doing a better job of uncovering these incidents, a trend that they'd like to continue in 2021. Human trafficking. It's a crime that often targets the vulnerable and puts victims in hard-to-escape situations.
They are starved and forced to work in grueling jobs, in prostitution, as domestic labor, in restaurants, factories, agriculture fields. The difficulty for law enforcement with this crime is that it can be disguised and hard to recognize. Fiscal year 2020, we opened 664 human trafficking investigations. Despite its difficulties, special agents say cooperation through multiple levels of law enforcement and a better spread of information is creating more and more traction against the crime. The very aggressive stance law enforcement and our partners at DOJ, DA's offices locally have taken to combat human trafficking. And when you have such forward-leaning partners, you are going to see more cases in the criminal court system. Just 2 weeks ago, an Odessa man, Frank Moreno, was arrested in Florida, accused of smuggling 2 teenagers from Mexico for forced labor. Moreno now faces 2 charges of human trafficking and human smuggling. In our community, protests have taken place, calling for aggressive action against human trafficking. And for those committed to helping, the FBI says a keen eye can reveal potential indicators. Is the person sleeping, living in the place that they're working? The place where they are living and sleeping, do they have locks on the outsides of those doors? Is a person free to leave?
Now, that special agent did list a few more potential indicators for human trafficking incidents. I'll have that full list on newswest9.com. And special agents also wanted us to mention that just because you see what may or may not be a potential indicator of a case like this doesn't mean that it's human trafficking. They say that the FBI will investigate any tip that they receive fully. Reporting in Ector County, Dana Morris, Newswest 9.
Local businesses will not have to drop down to 50% occupancy this week. The number of COVID-19 patients in our hospitals have dropped. We were on the verge, though. Now, under the governor's mandate, if you hit more than 15% capacity for 7 consecutive days, there will be more restrictions on businesses. Midland and Odessa are in a region designated by the state as Trauma Service Area J. The latest figures show that the total number of hospital patients with COVID divided by the total number of operational beds only ended up staying above 15% for 2 days. The latest numbers show our J area is now at 11.5%. The city of Midland is stepping in to help homeless people who have COVID-19, getting them into local hotels and motels so they can recover in quarantine. Now, they haven't secured any contracts with local hotels yet, but they are in negotiations and talks with at least 3 of them. The city will be allocating $200,000 from their $1.4 million COVID-19 grant money to complete this project.
We will also try to coordinate all social services, social work services, health department services along with this. So we're not going to just leave people isolated in particular hotels.
The city is planning to rent 5 to 10 rooms over the span of the next 2 to 3 months per hotel. Since the homeless population is primarily communal, the city says they feel this will help prevent further spread of the virus. Do you live in Odessa and need help making ends meet? The City of Odessa Community Development Department says they might be able to help. And if you have a pre-K aged kiddo, we have some good news for you. A local program is expanding to take more kids. That's after the break. If you live in one part of Odessa, your water may be shut off tomorrow. It's all happening in the Parks Bell area. The shutoff was originally scheduled for Monday, but was delayed because of the snow we got. We're told the water will be turned off Thursday during the workday. Crews will be relocating the water line in your area to make way for construction of the new interchange at Yukon and Loop 338. The water will be out between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. tomorrow. The City of Odessa Community Development Department wants to remind you, if you need some help paying for home repairs, they may be able to help through a grant-funded program. Tate Owen has the details you need to know.
There are some qualifications that you have to meet in order to take advantage of the City of Odessa's housing rehabilitation program. And it is first come, first served. But if you qualify, what they're able to help with can go beyond just a basic home repair.
If you're a homeowner and your house seems to be falling apart, there's help. For over 25 years, the City of Odessa has been helping its citizens create a safe and healthy home.
We go to council every year when our grant funds are released and ask them for a portion of those funds to continue to operate the system.
The Community Development Department could help with minor repairs, emergency repairs, or even rebuild the entire home if that's what's found is necessary.
We can do anything from an emergency repair, such as a gas line, a water leak, a heat, up to just roofs, or we can do what's known as a gut rehab, and is taking the existing structure that's structurally sound, removing the inside and going back in with new walls, insulation, everything new. Or if the house is not structurally sound, we will tear it down and rebuild a small, energy efficient new home on their property.
In order to qualify for the program, residents must meet a few requirements.
The most important qualifying factors are that they live within the city limits, that they own their home and not have any mortgages against it, and then they also can have to income qualify by the number of people who are in their household and their household annual income.
The goal of the program reaches further than rehabbing one home.
It helps stabilize our community, and it helps make our neighborhoods safe and secure, and it improves the overall look of the community.
Benefiting the community and a family.
This program does target low-income and moderately low-income families. Reporting in Odessa, Tate Owen, News West 9.
If you want to know more about the program, you can call the Community Development Center. Their number is 432-335-4820. Good news for Odessa parents. The Ector County School District just announced an expansion of their pre-K program. The program is being offered to 3-year-olds and begins August of this year, but they're not doing this alone.
Once again, we are excited to announce a partnership with the YMCA as we begin that in August of 2021 to welcome 3-year-olds into ECISD as an addition to our already robust pre-K program.
This new program with the YMCA will help ECISD become nearly 1,000 pre-K kiddos this fall. Here's a chance to save a life and adopt a furry friend for free. The City of Odessa is asking for your help clearing the shelter. For this entire month, the city shelter is doing free adoptions for fully vetted animals. The adoption includes a free spay-neuter, free vaccinations, and a free microchip. The goal is to get every single one of these little sweeties here a forever home. The Odessa Animal Shelter is on West 42nd. For more information, just reach out to the shelter. The number is there on your screen. The Clear the Shelter promotion, again, is only for the month of January. Well, we're definitely used to that West Texas wind, and tomorrow it should whip up, right, Anthony?
Yeah, it was windy today, Crystal. Tomorrow going to be even windier as a cold front moves through West Texas. I'm tracking that, and also a few more cold fronts, actually, as we go over the next couple days. Forecast coming up.